Hello, everyone, and welcome to Layer by Layer, the podcast where we talk about what's happening in the 3D printing world and what's going on here at Slant 3D itself. Today, we're going to be talking about one of our biggest branding mistakes that we've made in a long time and a little bit about some scientific testing. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. First, with the news. Not a lot of news this week. We had the Mosaic Manufacturing's array came out. So if you haven't seen this, Mosaic Manufacturing made a number of different accessories for 3D printers for several years, where they would feed in multicolor material makers, basically, where they would feed in filament, and then it would feed out certain lengths of different colors and fuse the filament back together so that you have a single line of kind of like Morse code filament going from light blue to red to yellow, so on and so forth. And they had a very good machine with that, and their merging and combining engine for this and the design, the mechanical design of it was really, really good. But they've made quite a pivot, going from basically a consumer device to what is now very definitely a piece of industrial machinery. The Mosaic array costs about $80,000, and it's effectively about four 3D printers inside of a box with an automated arm for removal of the parts. And then it stages the parts over in a storage area to be removed later on. So it basically enables overnight printing for large prototypes and small serial production. It's a nifty machine. I think it'll be really useful for a lot of companies who want to do prototyping in a nice controlled way to where it's very hands-off and nobody has to worry about it. Because having the printers contained and set and everything else to where it's very clear what's going on is just a piece of automation that needed to be done. There's not a good kind of multi-part industrial printer that's not on a single batch. So it's a good product. I think they'll do really well with it, personally, actually. The reason it came up kind of this week is people were asking us, like, are you going to be using it? And I'm like, no, we're not. It doesn't have the appropriate amount of scale for us. And I'm sure people will line up 10 or 15 of these things, and I think they already do have a couple of clients who are doing that. But that's not the right format for us because it still requires picking from the machine itself, and expanding it out is not a format that is useful for us in the print farm context. It's an architecture that we don't really agree with for a print farm, because if they expand the array to be like 2 high and 20 long, then it causes other issues with maintainability and that kind of stuff. Whereas we like the modularity of a kind of a standard print farm prints on shelves or on racks. So anyhow, but no, I think it's a very good product for the team as it is there, and for the many of the use cases that they'll have. It is a pivot. I mean, it's a big switch for Mosaic, so good luck to them, and I hope they do great, but it looks like a great product. I am interested in long-term maintenance and maintainability and how they're doing that. I assume they probably have a service contract for the machine or something along those lines. That's pretty much all with the news. As far as news on the YouTube channel itself, we are certainly a little bit more intermittent here. We are testing a number of different video formats here in this intermittent time when we don't have a lot of time to do these and film them and really create them. Design for videos are a little bit more infrequent. We have one or two that'll be coming out here. That'll be some basic ideas like first layer design and that kind of stuff. But we're trying different formats there so that the rest of the team can produce videos without me all the time. I'm really busy, guys. I'm not able to host every single video. So we're trying to get the rest of the folks on the team to come in and host and create new videos around that, to where I'm not the single point of reference on this stuff. Anyhow, so there is that. Yeah, the channel will continue to be kind of intermittent, about 3 videos per week here through the holidays. But yeah, we're really, really busy. If you are submitting us quoting, this came up when I was talking to the BizDev guys. If you're submitting parts to us for quoting in production, our quoting team is really backlogged right now, guys. There has been a large influx of requests and stuff lately, so we are working through them as fast as we can, but our general max to turnaround time is about generally 3 days. Right now, the team is at like 4 to 5. So please be patient with us. We're working to get through that backlog, and we're working to add on more team members and that kind of stuff in that area who will be coming up and helping out. But please just bear with us, and we apologize for the delay on that. With that too, if there's like an exploratory quote where you're just kind of kicking tires, we may have to deprioritize your product or your project or your quote for quite a while, because they are really logged, and we need to make sure that we're taking care of the clients that critically need us, to make sure that we're keeping the flow through there. But yeah, we're just really busy right now. Let's see here. Updates on other stuff. Filament update. Yes, the worst branding mistake we could possibly make. So it was announced earlier this week on Tangled. Tangled Filament is a brand, that we would start using reused filament spools from other manufacturers, and spooling our filament onto those spools. And on that spool, you'll see a sticker that says Slant PLA, or not Tangled PLA, made by Slant. We will be reusing spools. And quite frankly, on this first batch, we had 300 to 400 like overture spools, cardboard overture spools left over, because we use overture, they're fine. We're not able, the reason we have these spools left over from other manufacturers is that even though we make a lot of our own material, we have to get it from other people, because number one, our biggest print farm is spec'd out for 3,000 machines. We burn a lot of filament, and even like we don't have enough extrusion lines to keep up, but we also cannot produce all of the colors and all of the different materials that we use. So we buy like nylon from certain suppliers, or we'll buy a neon green from that guy, or whatever else it was, because it doesn't work for us to produce that stuff. And even if we were just like running black, we still need help because we use so much filament. So there's good conversation for suppliers out there. I mean, like if you make filament, we do want to work with you. We're going to ignore you here for the next couple months because we're really busy, but we need more suppliers, because as printing continues to scale up and as our factories continue to scale up, with the new ones going in next year, we just need more filament. So that's why we order from other suppliers. Not all suppliers deliver filament in the format that we'd like. We really hate 1 kilogram spools. But every once in a while, we just have to use it because they have the color or the material that we need, and they only sell it at 1 kg. So we store up these 1 kg spools. Historically, we've had to dispose of them in some way. But now, with Tangled, it gives us an outlet to where we can reduce our waste and also reduce our cost, because rather than having to purchase new spools, we can reuse old spools. So Tangled Reuse has been activated. We have started shipping filament, Slant 3 or Tangled filament, respooled onto other manufacturers' spools. We, as a filament brand, this is the stupidest thing we could possibly do, because we're effectively advertising another brand, literally with our filament. It's like, yeah, we put a sticker over their label, but like everybody knows what it is. And the fact that we're using it is an endorsement of them. But you know what? That's true. It is an endorsement of them. We like their filament, okay. But we're gonna reuse their spools down spool. But the reason we're able to but even though that is a terrible branding mistake, it is absolutely critical that we make it, because the goal of Tangled is to reduce the cost of filament. And to reduce the cost of filament, you have to reduce the waste. Therefore, we have to reuse spools, because it allows us to create another cost-saving technique that we can pass on to you guys and continue to push the cost per spool down to $10 or lower. So we will be reusing other manufacturer spools. They have already shipped. You will see the sticker saying Tangled Reused Spool on there. And yeah, whoever had it, whoever we're endorsing underneath effectively is there. But we're not worried about it, because number one, another reason we need to do this is that no other manufacturer will. This branding problem is a big problem, because you cannot send a postcard of another filament manufacturer or competitor with your filament. That's what we're doing, because we don't really make filament. We're doing this on the side, producing thousands of spools of filament. But it's not something that any other manufacturer will do. So it's kind of incumbent upon us to set the standard and to start doing it, and show how it could be done. But yes, it lets us eliminate waste, stop wasting spools, give you guys a good product still, and reduce the cost of the filament without really changing the quality of it all. So we're reusing spools. And we're able to do that because we aren't really a filament manufacturer, so we don't have to try to maximize sales over there. And since we're a print farm, we have a supply of secondhand spools that are contained and kept clean and tidy throughout the entire process so that they can be reprocessed and they haven't been crushed in shipping or all dirty or nasty or something like that. So, we're taking advantage of this. And hopefully we will pass those advantages over to you very soon. But it is interesting because as we were thinking about this, it's like, why has nobody else done this? First of all, nobody else can get a hold of spools because if a filament manufacturer sells you a spool, you have the spool. There's not a bulk storage part of them somewhere. So that's just kind of an odd thing that they can't really deal with because they don't have secondhand spools around unless you pull from your local area. And then the branding issue of like, you can't advertise somebody else's filament literally on your spool of filament, which is what, again, we can do because it's part of what we're trying to get done. The cost savings is more important than the branding value. And from your guys' feedback, you were all fine with having a second use spool. So we're doing that. Right now, it is being shipped with current subscription orders and that kind of thing. So there'll be reused spools inside of those. We do want to eventually separate it to make it an option for you at some point so that you can choose which spool you want, whether you want it really consistent or if you want the secondhand spools, whatever they happen to be. With the secondhand spools, the spool size is going to vary depending on who it is that we're using. So, and in the context of making good filament, we have to make sure that it's consistent and reliable. So we have to make sure that that's available. A few people had mentioned with the subscription boxes being able to mix and match colors of like get a couple gray, get a couple white, rather than just straight black. We're working on that, but the problem is that introduces more steps in the process and more checks and more things that can go wrong. So we're going to be kind of slow in rolling that out of making like a selectable subscription box. But thank you all who have signed up for the subscription so far. They'll continue to be fulfilled here over the next little while. There's been some questions that have come up about how to print the PLA. If you don't see the blog post on our website talking about how to print our PLA, you can Google PLA and it will tell you what every PLA prints at. I think people are overestimating the amount of tuning or settings tweaking that needs to be done for a material because PLA prints at 210 degrees and 65 degree bed. And if you want to be safe to make sure it really runs, run at 220 and a 70 degree bed. And that will print every single PLA that exists, including ours. So if you're needing settings, that's the settings for temperature, and everything else is dependent on whatever your machine is, if you're really tuning it or something like that. So anyhow, that's pretty much filament. Yeah, we're reusing spools, and that'll help us drive the cost down, and we're in a unique position to where we actually can reuse spools. Oh, side topic, sending spools to us. You can do it. If you guys want, right here, right now, if you want to ship us used spools, you can do so. Our shipping address is 4600 Apple Street, Boise, Idaho. That is where Print Farm, or the Mega Farm is. And that's where our filament production occurs. So you can mail boxes of spools to us. We will take them. We are not going to offer credits, and we are not going to, there's no side benefit to it. We cannot offer any kind of recourse or benefits or anything like in that at all. Maybe we can like give you points or something on the website at some point if you can log them in. But right now, tracking it, keeping it straight, all the rest of this, and knowing if they're good spools or not, there's a lot of hassle in processing on our side because we don't know what you're going to send us, or if they're covered in bubble gum or whatever else it is, or if they're such a wrong size that we just can't use them. So taking the filament contribution or taking spool contributions has never worked historically because we have no idea what a crowd of people is going to send us. we will open it up here and we will accept spool donations, but we cannot guarantee that those spools will be used, and we cannot guarantee that the spools will not be landfilled or something like that, because if they're unusable to us, we have to get rid of them. But as Slant 3D continues to grow and we have more factories around the country and around the world, we have more points of contact to where spool collection is like viable if we're able to put filament production inside of each one of those factories. So there is a way to create a recycling, kind of localized recycling situation here. So yes, we are open to spool donations. I would recommend, if you're in the Boise area, you can drop off your spools with us and we will reuse them for filament. But again, we are not paying for shipping. We're not paying for doing any kind of rebound. It has to be your goodness of heart to use them, because there's no other way that we can reasonably do it, because there's so much back end processing of them to either clean them up, sort them out, make sure they fit, all the rest of that kind of stuff, and potentially dispose of them if they're unusable. So we'll accept what we could probably do with this is that if people are send us your spools right now, and long term we can figure out ways of optimizing it, of like, we will accept spools from this manufacturer and this manufacturer and this manufacturer. And the best way, if you guys want to do it, would be to fill up like a fairly large box with spools, like 20 or 30 spools, and ship that. And that almost is cost effective, because if you ship, this is the other reason spool returns have never occurred. With the cheapest shipping option inside the United States, at least, to ship a single empty spool would cost about $5. To ship 2 empty spools would cost $10. To ship 3 would also cost $10, and depending on how you pack it up. As we mess around with this, we might be able to show like the optimum way of packing stuff, which spools we will accept, that kind of thing. That way we can know what we're getting in, and you guys can submit them, and maybe, we can copy a little bit there. But for now, pure off the cuff, you can send us your spools and we'll take them. And if you're in the local Boise area, you can drop them off with us, and we're open to that. But if they, but a spool reuse program is not something that we can implement right now, because we don't know how to do it, because it's so expensive to ship spools. There's no way for us to say like, oh, we'll buy spools from you if you ship them to us, because it costs more for shipping than what we would pay you for the spool. Maybe there's some model where that could work, but right now we don't know what it is. If somebody wants to work it out, if someone out there is working on spool recycling and wants to create a website or a community or something to like organize and batch this stuff together, because if you fill up a pallet, then it can be shipped affordably. And if you can fill up a pallet of consistent, good, real quality spools, we'll buy those from you. But somebody else has to organize them, because we don't have enough time for those types of projects right now. But that's spool recycling. If you want to ship them to us right now, you are welcome to. There is our address. We'll put it in the description, and you can ship them to our mega farm facility, and we will reprocess them and reuse them, and we're open to that. But we don't have any payback methodology in it right now. It's just, if you want to not throw away your spools, you can send them to us, and we will take care of them one way or another for you. So that's spools and filament. Testing. Completely unscientific tests. Yes, this is technically true. We've been messing with the testing videos, and the last videos that we've done are not meant to be exceptionally scientifically rigorous. They are meant to be a point of intuition. And the difference in this is like, exceptionally scientific rigorous is like, okay, we get a perfect dog bone, we make sure it breaks at the certain right area, and we make sure that the force is applied on a consistent, reasonable basis. That's all fine if you have consistent equipment around it. Right now, we're kind of hacking together equipment for these tests and for these videos, because these videos are a minimum viable product. They are an exploration of the style of how do we do a testing video and do it well, so that when we do purchase the really expensive equipment, we know that it will get maximally utilized, because we can make good videos from it that a lot of people will watch. So what we've been doing with the last few videos is taking general features that we know people are interested in, like what types of infills are strong, how strong are they, that kind of stuff, and giving a demonstration, just a demonstration to show, in this context, this is how it behaves. Is it universal, or could it even be publishable? No. The variance in these tests is probably up to 10 or maybe even 15%. I would not say it's more than that as far as crushing these things. And the formats between the videos is changing. The testing parameters between the videos is changing because we're figuring out how to do that with the setup that we have and also make it interesting on camera. So yeah, right now, the testing videos so far are not meant to be like publishable research. That's not the intention. They are meant to be an educational demonstration that gives some context of like, this is obviously stronger than that, and this is how that behaves and performs. So they're fairly low level, like demonstrations. So yes, we're working on getting like the really detailed scientific information over to you guys because we want to build a testing lab to where we can verify this stuff. And we will create testing processes for those when we're ready to do it. But right now, the equipment and everything else around it just isn't set up for that. So they're slightly more entertainment skewed than like technical data skewed. They're meant to be educational and informative. And we will send those videos to clients to say like, oh, you don't know which infill? Watch this video. Here's some context for you so they have some idea, because it's way more useful to have that than to have nothing. Right now, there's nothing. So just a comment about how we're approaching those videos, because the testing videos will become more common. Into the next year, we will probably continue to do 1 to 2 per week. And we'll continue on for some time. So, and yeah, we're just going to run through print settings and verify them all. We're working on shopping around for the actual testing rig that we want to use, and then we will be releasing a Kickstarter around that to kind of support the video production of that and purchase of the machine so that we know what we can get done. But until all of that is sorted out, we have our existing load cell and press right now that we're just crushing stuff with to give some demonstrations and figure out how to structure these videos in a useful way. So there is that. The software, the Etsy app, and the printer API are still both on track. We might even be able to ship them a little bit early. But yes, the V2 of the Etsy app should be coming out here in the first week of November to where it'll be upgraded, much more reliable. You'll be able to push anything you want through it. And yeah, it's going to be pretty darn nifty, actually. And then soon after that, well, some point after that, we should be releasing the API so that you can, if you're a developer, you can plug it into your site. If you're a partner who'd like to work with us on that for integrating it into your site, if you have like an STL generator of some sort, reach out to us because we'd love to talk to you about that, and setting up like a profit sharing or referral program and knowing how to structure that is something that we've started crossing into with using the API. It's most of the time we expect people to just use the API and then take our base cost and add a little margin on top of it or something like that. That's a really simple way to do it, but there might be other methodologies that we're not thinking about. If you happen to be the operator of a 3D model repository, we very much want to talk to you because we would love to plug our API into your website so that anybody who wants to print a model who doesn't have a printer or doesn't want to deal with it can just order the print by pushing the button next to the STL download button. We'd love to work with you on that. And you can get access to one of the largest print farms in the world to make sure that parts actually are delivered in a short lead time. Okay, that's all that we have today, guys. Comment down below if there's video topics that you want us to cover and talk about. Do watch our other podcasts. We got lots of these stored up talking about the stuff that we're doing here all the time, and we do this every week, and we'll see you again next Sunday. Have a great day, everybody.